Good afternoon, America. Welcome to Industry Insiders. And we have our first guest, the dynamic hip hop audio engineer. I truly appreciate you taking the time to come and sit with us and have this illustrious conversation. I'm going to probably go a couple of different ways with it. I'm going to probably tap into some technical stuff. In addition to the technical stuff, we'll probably tap into in real life experiences, the day-to-day life of an audio engineer in the hip hop sphere. Tell us about yourself. Where are you from? And what brings you here today? And what makes you passionate about being a hip hop audio engineer?
Appreciate the intro.
Right.
It sounded awesome. Yeah, I'm Steven. Some people know me as Macro. Yeah, engineer here in New York City. I'm from Guyana originally.
Okay.
And the reason I work in hip hop
Yeah.
is because I started making music myself and fell in love with the mixing and mastering part. So I just followed that path up to where it led me to this point.
Right.
Working with a lot of different people, recording labels, independent artists, big and small, like it's a wide range of people. I've been fortunate enough to move from working on my music to working on music for hundreds of artists up to this point. So
Can you tell us about some of the artists that you work with?
yeah, lots of them. Okay, so I've worked with Skepta, Quavo, Nemzzz, Central C. I've worked with a lot of artists that are just signing their record deals. Maybe they're 1 or 2 years into their recording contracts. I've worked with artists who are on the outside looking into the music industry, still trying to make it, and everything in between. So most of my catalog has been with artists who are under recording contracts. I come in and help their music sound top notch.
Okay. Can you give us some insight on what an average day is like for an audio engineer?
Average day for me it could be different every day. That's what's so amazing. And just like music is very dynamic. So I could be in the studio working with an artist directly, recording them, helping them craft their sound. Maybe they've already recorded and they're sending their music to me to mix and master and just finalize in different formats. Other days I'm working on my own music just to stay sharp and keep my love for it very strong. That's we could dive into that. And also days there's just I'm sending a bunch of emails and talking with people at events, connecting. It has nothing to do with music at all, and just keeping connections strong and just helping other people with other projects that are music adjacent.
Can you tell us about how you got into audio engineering? How did you get your first booking? Was it through networking? Was it through a friend? Was it through interning? Tell us how you got your first break.
Oh, the first break? All right, quick timeline. Started doing my own music, started mixing and mastering for friends. They're like, oh, you're really good at this stuff. Do my album, do my single. And I was just working just for the fun of it. Then I decided to go to music school for Full Sail University. That's because we were in a small town. I had my little studio set up. People come around, other artists. One artist came through that I work with today. He actually just dropped an album that I helped him mix and master, which is crazy. This was 7+ years ago. And he saw me working and everything, because relative to where we were, he was already flying out, coming in for shows in big studios. And he saw me working. He's like, dude, you're actually good at the mixing and mastering stuff. I'm like, all right, cool. So a year later, it just came to the front of my mind that maybe I should pursue this, because I actually enjoy, I was a person that I just wanted to get the recording out the way just so I could mix. So went to school, learned how to be professional. Through that, to answer your question, that's where the network came. And my first gig, you would say, is just talking with a friend who's been doing everything that himself. And I was like, yo, let me mix your song. And the funny thing, I think I got $35 for that. I mixed it. I spent a week on it. And I delivered. I'm gonna call him over to my house. I'm like, yeah, the mix is ready. I'm a chef. I'm coming out. I had the towel over here. I'm bringing the plate to the table. You just taste the food. Let me know how the food is. So I'm giving him the music I've been working on. He listened to the song and he's, yes, okay, it's not along. And he didn't like it. He's like, oh, that's not it.
How did you take it? Why didn't it deter you?
I don't know. I was like, it was so long ago, but if I had to pinpoint why it didn't deter me, it's because I knew him. I know he didn't mean anything by it. It doesn't mean, oh, you're trash and you never touch music ever again. It's just more, it's not really the direction that he wanted to go.
Would you say that due to your friendship, you was able to take the constructive criticism and build on it?
Yeah, just build on it. Because at that point, I'm still figuring myself out in it as an engineer. It's like I had a whole catalog of people that's accepted my mixes and were praising me and everything. This is to the point where it's my first mix. It's kind of like approaching your first, like you have a crush on a girl, you approach her for the first time and she rejects you. Does it crush your life? No, you just keep moving on, keep going. Yeah, of course I reflected and all that stuff, but it was just like the first thing. But to answer your question, like the big break is when after school and I moved to New York and I joined a studio, and you're supposed to have 6 months of just internship, and then they test you, see your knowledge, and then they promote you. Within my first 30 days, I was able to get in my first session, and that was like amazing. And the reason I did that is the regular stuff, whereas engineers too late, and they say, okay, engineer's not here, we need someone. The next person they turn to is a general assistant. And the general assistant, for some reason, he got cold feet. He didn't want to do it. And I was shocked. I'm like, dude, I will do it. I went in and did the session. And the customer was happy and just kept snowballing from there. Working a lot. To the point where I started getting so many sessions. I would be at the studio all day, do a 12-hour shift, and then go home for an hour, come back to the studio. And through that, people recognize, oh, this guy is working a lot. He's here, and the clients are happy, and they're happy with the work he's doing. So through that, they started connecting me with their network. Because, hey, I have to do this session. I've seen you've been working. You should go do the session. And that's how I started to build my network. And that's how I got connected on the label side. Because I connected with someone, and he had an artist. I went in for a couple of hours, and he invited me to connect with his record label who was opening a studio. And he didn't know me from anywhere. He just knew me through a good source. He just, like, my reputation preceded me.
Right.
He didn't really know me until we actually met in person and did that session. And after that, he was just like, yo, come to the studio. We have the recording company here. We need an engineer. And I ended up doing their, like, 95%, a good portion of their recordings and mixing and mastering for their entire roster that needed it. For 3 years straight. I'm still working with the company. The studio doesn't exist now, but I'm still like working with the company. And through that, I met a lot of other people who come in and they would see and experience my work and stuff. And connections just keep building and building and building to where it's, oh yeah, I remember you from this place. That's a long way to just answer your question, which is just, yeah, through networking.
I think this is really helpful. Like, I love the detail, because I think it's important for like up and coming audio engineers to hear from start to finish. Because again, a lot of folks don't know what to expect. And until you're actually in it, you'll never know what to expect. So I think it's important that you're able to detail it and succinctly be able to explain, like, from start to finish, how you started and how you got to where you're at. I wanted to ask you another question. Give us some insight onto what it looks like from getting booked and then executing the session.
It just depends, really. Depends on what they're booking me for, like what they need. Yes, it is booking, but at the same time, it's like my role is to solve a problem. So if they had everything figured out, we wouldn't need each other, right? Mm-hmm. So if the artist is coming into town, they're not there for long. Most of the artists I work with, in the context of going to a recording studio and recording them, they're there for a short amount of time, and they want to make music and have a great experience doing it. We can dive into a lot of other stuff with that, but it's just a call from the recording. It could be from A&R, it could be from the recording executives, it could be from the label head.
And once you receive the call, what happens next?
It depends on what they need. So if when they call me and they say, all right, cool, hey, we have this artist coming into town, we need a recording engineer, then we figure out a time, day, and as long as everything works, figure out the rates, and like go and execute.
Can you highlight the importance of being on time?
As an engineer, it's very important. I actually come very early to my sessions, because one, it's not just being on time so people can say you weren't late. It's being on time because as an engineer, you have to solve problems. That's like your whole thing. And the problems that you're solving should be invisible. It must never present itself as a problem. And when you solve it, it rarely needs to be announced. So you have to be stealthy with your problems. The way I solve that is by being on time.
Okay.
So let's say the session is for 11 a.m. I'm there 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes before, test the systems. If the system has a problem, we have enough time to fix everything and get it working. So when the artist arrives, the last thing they should be worried about is why they're not able to record right away. It's kind of like going to a restaurant and you're worried about what the chef, like everyone's had this experience where they go to a restaurant, order the food, and the food just takes forever. And it could be many reasons. Could be full restaurant that day. Maybe the main chef is not there. Maybe the new guy is slow. It could be any reason, but that's not the customer's problem at all. I'm just hungry. I just want load my food.
Exactly.
Right?
If you want me to return,
yeah, exactly.
we need things to happen.
Yeah. So when the waiter or waitress comes out and he or she is, oh yeah, I'm so sorry, we just have this problem, and she's explaining all this stuff. It's like, yeah, I understand, but how long on my food? So that's what I don't want the artist to worry about, or their team to worry about. Gotcha. Get in there early. So to answer your question directly is just get there early so you can solve problems if they arise. And also just be punctual because sometimes the artist is early as well. And that gives you an opportunity to connect with the artist because you're early, because now you're not technically on the clock yet. And it's all about trust. So,
tell me about some challenges you might face during the actual session. Let's say, for instance, as you're engaging in your engineering, has there ever been time where you and the artist aren't on the same page? And what have you done to mediate that?
That's a good question because, yeah, there's plenty of times when you're not on the same page as the artist. But for anyone could come in and do the thing. But it's the way you're doing it. It's the way you're finessing it. It's the best way to say this is if you put engineering aside, if an artist and I might have a disagreement on direction, it has nothing to do with the actual engineering itself. It's just more to do with how we relate to each other. Gotcha. So if we can relate to each other and communicate, that's like the main thing. Gotcha. One way I solve that challenge is to identify who is the most important person in the room. And not all the times, it's not always the artist. Sometimes the most important person or the one that has the most say it could be the manager. It could be the artists themselves. It could be the A&R has the most say. It could be the A&R executive. It could be their homeboy that has the most say because the artist trusts them a lot more. So one challenge I have, if me and the artist are not on the same page, is usually because who has the most direction? Because the artist might say, okay, cool, how about you do my vocal this way? But the artist doesn't always have the last say. And if I don't recognize that, it can get very messy very quickly. Maybe it's the manager who actually knows what the artist should sound like in the context of the studio, how they should be working to achieve that sound. And that's the person I should be listening to. Okay. Because just say you're the artist and you tell me to do something and I do it. And the manager doesn't agree with it, they might come in and say something. Then it's like, who do you listen to? And that can get very challenging. It's like, he's an artist. I want them to feel inspired and stay inspired to continue creating the songs without any stalling. So how do I figure out who I should be listening to? And that comes into being on time and talking with people and asking questions and learning who the artist is. You don't always have that time, but I've been doing this so long, I can gauge who has to say. So in time, I even set it up where I might not even always ask questions. Like I'm not afraid to ask a question. If I'm really stuck, like who to listen to, I would stop and be like, okay, cool. You're saying one thing and you're saying one thing. All right, so where do you want to go there? And then involve the two people having the thing. And then usually that solves the problem. You gotta just know how to move it. It's a very social thing what I do. So it's professional and very like social because you're dealing with people. Yeah. This is just the context of just recording and mixing music. Have you ever had an experience where the artist was very disrespectful or made you uncomfortable, and how did you handle it? I really have to think hard where it was blatant disrespect. Usually if someone comes with a disrespectful tone or might say something snarky or something on that line, it's usually not the artist. Like my experience with most artists, like almost all the artists I work with, they're very professional people. They know how to manage. It's kind of like living in New York. Like I moved here after college. But outside of New York, everyone is, oh, New York people are rude and New York people are just like this and they're combative.
New Yorkers get a bad rap.
Right. They got a bad rap outside of New York. But when you come and you live in New York, yes, all that's true. I'm not saying people are not rude and they're not combative. They are.
No confusion there.
Yeah. But just like anywhere else in the world. But you only get that energy if you bring that energy to them.
Okay.
So when the energy I bring into a studio is very professional, very friendly,
it's
very
reciprocated.
Yeah, like I understand I'm there to serve. We're here to work with you and work together.
Okay.
And that in itself disarms any disrespect or they could have a bad rap of being a person like that. But I find my approach is more about keeping the main thing.
Gotcha. Well, makes sense.
And if someone, it's almost like an interesting way I do it, because now that I'm actually thinking about it, based on your question, it almost looks even more rude for someone to be rude to me. Just how I present myself. It looks out of place, like uncalibrated. And I don't take it personal either, because I know if someone's coming in there rude, they probably had a bad day or whatever, but like that has nothing to do with me. We're here to create music.
Okay.
If that's getting in the way of creating the music, then it becomes a problem. And usually it does.
How do you keep sessions moving without sacrificing quality?
Usually I'm very prepared. That's the matter. We could be in a professional studio where everything is there, or we could be in their living room recording. I've been to artists' penthouses and we're just set up in their living room. Okay. We could be recording there. It's just setting the expectation, really, because the context is understandable. We're here to make music, and these are the conditions that we need. It needs to be quiet. We need to be focused. And if someone doesn't need to be there or disrupting the session, they usually understand very quickly that they are disrupting the session. So it's my sessions are very respectful. Like they understand why we're there. It's all about communication. Once you communicate what's happening.
Okay. When communicating feedback to an artist, how do you make them feel comfortable? How do you handle communicating feedback without killing that creativity?
It's like an invisible line, right? There's a stigma with engineers. Like most engineers aren't really connected. You're just there to do the job. It's like, all right, cool. Let me just record you. And that's it. They don't say anything. For me, if I know something could be better or something could go in a different direction, I gauge the line. If it doesn't need to be spoken, I would just do it. If the artist picks up on it and realize what I'm doing, they usually would say something. They would say, oh, I don't like what you just did there. Can you go back to how it was before? Okay. And then I know, okay, that's where the line is. Go back here. I do something and they really love it. Wow, that's really cool. Okay, now I know I can do more of that. Okay. And less of what they don't like.
Okay. How do you make artists feel comfortable and confident in the booth? Because I know every artist doesn't come a finished product. So I know sometimes when they step into the booth, they could be unsure. Are there any techniques or provisions you make to make them feel comfortable?
Yeah, I mean, it's different reasons why different artists would feel uncomfortable. And sometimes it has nothing to do with me. It could be that the room is just filled with people.
Gotcha.
Or it could be that the room is too quiet. It could be that they're hungry. It could be they just need a cup of water or a lighter. And I just have to recognize what it could be. And like I said before, I ask questions. So it's like, all right, cool. You ready? How you feeling? Do you need anything? And artists are usually pretty vocal. Some are very shy and they wouldn't say. If I could gauge, yo, I could send a cup of water in there. Would you like that? And they will tell you. You ask a question and you give them the question to answer back. And sometimes it's not even that they need anything. Like the only thing they probably would need is to know that you care. Like me sitting there about to receive what they're about to say into the microphone. Right. And I actually care and I would handle it with care. And if me even just checking in to see if they need a lighter or an ashtray or maybe another bite of a chicken wing that they left in the room.
Like a customer service approach.
Yeah, like it's a very service-oriented thing. And that alone, even if they say no and they don't need it, like people say, you get a gift for Christmas and it's not the best gift, but it's the thought that counts. It's like that you thought of me to like even present this. That means that you actually care. And that alone makes them comfortable.
I've noticed there's a growing trend with artists having one engineer that they work with consistently. Do you prefer to work with multiple artists, or do you wish you could find one or two artists that you could just consistently work with over time?
Yeah, I'm in an interesting situation because, I mean, yes, there's artists that return to me a lot and we work on their music and we have their sound dialed in. We really don't have to talk much. I know exactly what to do because we work so consistently. Outside of the artists who I work with consistently are the producers, the A&Rs, and the recording ladies.
Okay.
Right? So that stays consistent. The artists just change.
Okay.
What stays consistent with the artists is that, oh yeah, they're in hip hop, they're from America, and they're usually at this level of their career.
Okay.
And they know how to do what they do, which is create the music very well. So if I prefer either or, I have technically the best of both worlds. It would just be in a situation where, I guess as I work with bigger and bigger artists, let's just say like Travis Scott comes through and we do a session. He's like, yo, that's pretty fire. You should come on the road and lock in for a year or so. And yeah, that'll be cool to do stuff like that. But the way I am right now is I'm in New York and I work with the recording companies and they have a roster of artists and I work with them. On the independent side, I have artists that come to me and they just send me their music and we work that way. If I prefer, it just depends. I mean, whatever fits my life at that point. But that's how mine is right now.
Okay. Can you give us your top 3 artists that you liked, that you feel like you had the best experience working with?
I work with so many artists, bro, that a lot of artists I work with, I meet them for the first time. It could be a lot of one-off sessions where they're just here for a couple of days. They're doing a press run. They just happen to be in the studio and we connect on their journey. Probably won't see each other for next year or 6 months from now. But in between that time, I'm meeting so many other artists. And what I really love about that experience is that even like the question you asked before is the reason the artists would lock in with the engineers because they trust each other. And I make so much great music with so many different artists that it's on record. So it's recorded. It's frozen in time now. Like soon as they rap, I get it. I bounce it out and I send it to their team. That is frozen in time. That's our experience together. And I have hundreds of those. And it keeps building and building. So like I can pull from so many different experiences, but I won't be doing it justice because I have so many.
Gotcha.
Know what I mean?
I can understand that. You do a lot of technical videos where you get into the technicality, the technical components of engineering. I really want to focus on the social component of it, the nuances of being an engineer and the glitz and glamours of audio engineering. Are there audio engineers that you are inspired by?
Yeah, all right. So comes to mind like JACE and Joshua. These are the guys that work on like consistently top record after top record. He's pretty good on the technical side and his approach is don't give a fuck attitude. I really like that about him.
He's really dangerous.
I don't know. I have to meet him to really like lock that in. But based on what I've seen by him on video, he just is unapologetic about the decisions that he makes with his records. 2, Leslie Brathwaite. He's an alumni of Full Sail. That's a school that I went to become more professional, learn how to use Pro Tools and navigate the industry. As a beginner coming in, and he would come a lot. They would have him back a lot and he would speak. He even came to some of my classes. So he's really fire. Dave Pensado, it's a legend. That guy is incredible. He just knows engineering and it's so intuitive because he's been doing it for so long. And all the techniques you think you can find online about this chain and that chain, you ask Dave Pensado, the question is, I don't even use any of that stuff. I just do my own thing. I do this thing and his mixes sound objectively better and more competitive than a lot of the stuff out there. That's why he's Dave Pensado. That's like my top 3.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's like my top 3.
Did you come across them by doing your own research or is it just something that somebody recommended them to you?
Yeah, I used to watch Pensado's place a lot and that's where I first heard about JACE and Joshua. I think he was like an apprentice of Dave Pensado. So he brought him in and trained him on top of the stuff that he knows. And with Leslie Brathwaite, he just came to my school. Like he was alumni. So he would come to the college and speak.
Okay.
And follow him and he's doing a lot of big records and stuff.
How do you protect the session backups and the intellectual property?
That's a good question, man, because it is intellectual property. and it makes a lot of people a lot of money, so to
Yeah.
speak. So that's a big part of being an engineer, is being trusted. So for me, the way I do that is hard drives, making sure that I'm sending stuff through the right channels. So keeping it within their team. And for me, I do a lot of breakdowns online. This is what I did on this song. This is what I did on this song. The way I protect that intellectual property is only breaking down music that's already been released. So if it's unreleased music, I don't touch it. It's just, all right, that is still internal. I have so many songs like that, but I have enough that are released to the public and released to their fans that I take that and I break it down and give a different perspective on it. Within that, though, there's a lot of stuff that happens within the sessions and internal conversations. Like people they don't really need to know any of that. So the way I protect that intellectual property is by focusing on the music. This is how I approach this vocal. The reason I did that is because of this thing. I ran into this problem and this is how I solved it. Instead of saying something about the artist or the team. And like I said before, a lot of stuff is great experience.
Right.
Even if I did say something to that extent, it would be colored in a great experience. But it's just to protect it as well.
Okay.
Because music, not just, yeah, you can make a lot of money, it's copyright, all that stuff. Yeah, all that aside, it's still very personal to the artist. It still connects. You feel me? The reason artists are saying these things is coming from a place deep within. So to critique it, I'm not a critic. Like people don't hire me to become a critic.
Facilitator.
Yeah, I'm a facilitator. I help them harness that and
Right.
make it sound as best as I can.
Okay. How do you handle file ownership, stems, and credits?
As an engineer, unless you have a deal set up where you get a piece of that, I don't own anything. It's a service. Like you pull up, you record, and you mix it, or they send you, they mix it. That's like a producer. They own the file. They own part of the master. The artist or the recording company owns their side. The writers. With credits, is just a lot of people are good. Not everybody's good with credit and everything. But
No, they're not.
everything moves so fast. If you're
Right.
not on top of it, so many songs I worked on went uncredited. But like some recording companies are really good. Shouts out to the A&Rs that are really fire. But yo, how do you want us to credit you?
Right.
Yeah.
Shout out to those guys.
The way I handle it, unless it's like a really big, like something that's, like I really need to have myself on here, I don't really see that's too much of an issue because I do my breakdowns. So to me, that's like my credit. Like I'm crediting myself. Who else can open a session right now, break down and tell you the nuances of what's going on?
Nice.
You know what I mean?
How do you keep up with the new sounds, plugins, and trends in your genre?
It's a good question because you can get lost in that kind of stuff, man. There's a big thing happening in New York, and especially in Brooklyn, listing bar. You walk in, the vinyl, they got the special lighting, everything is modern, mid-century furniture, all this kind of cocktails. People see that working, so a lot of more of them start popping up. Next thing you know, there's a bunch of listening bars. Now, no one wants to go to listening bars because they're everywhere. Same thing with plugins. So there's always a new plugin. There's always a new way of doing this and doing that. The way I handle it is to keep the main thing the main thing. It's just like conversation, man. Like, we're having this conversation, but the main thing in conversation is that people want to feel heard. They want to feel understood. They want to feel like their point of view is being met with, like, So when I work on a piece of music, what do we want? Like, the main thing is they want to be heard.
Right.
If they're open to a lot of creativity, creative decisions,
Right.
they want their music to sound uniquely different from either the stuff they've worked on in the past or their peers. It's like an artist finding that new beat because it sounds different.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? That's how I handle the plugins and all that, because there's always a new plugin, always a new technique, always a new way. But does it really serve what you're doing? You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
If you was to go to your favorite restaurant and you like the jerk chicken, but then they start using chili oil and sauce, and now it tastes like
something else.
Bro, I come to you because you make the best jerk chicken in the spot.
Do you prefer working with indie artists or signed artists?
It just depends, man, because the situations can be different. Okay, once we get the rate out of the way, deadlines out of the way, all that kind of stuff, and just focus on what we're actually working on, which is the music. To me, it's like the same thing. with a signed artist and an indie artist, the stakes are just different. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, our last joint just hit like 1 million views, bro.
Right.
And their next song depends on the energy that they're bringing. This one gotta hit. It gotta hit. If they're coming with that energy, then all right, I know how to play my roles a little bit different.
Okay.
Because as soon as I give them the music, everything after that is now on their team, the recording company. With an indie artist, the stakes are not as high. They might get 100,000 per video. And for them, they're more connected with their fans a lot of the time. So and it just depends, because like with an indie artist, I can literally easily, even if the song is not released, I can just hit the artist himself, be like, yo, I want to break down your song. And to them, that's power. That's, yo, like he's finna bring more attention to my music kind of thing. But a bigger artist or artist that's signed, they already got a lot of attention on their music. So whatever value can I bring to that? And then I adjust accordingly. But the stakes are usually the same. The mechanics of actually recording or mixing and mastering for artists that signed is usually, I'm not speaking directly to the artist on the sign side. I'm speaking to their team. So I'm speaking to the A&R. I'm speaking to the producer. What's their direction? And if the artist wants to come in and put their input, then they put their input. With the independent, I'm talking directly to the artist. Everything is on them.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
So just two different styles.
There's two different styles, but the outcome is usually still the same.
Gotcha. So it doesn't matter either or. It's either or for you.
Yeah, it's just different dynamics.
And what's your approach to pricing, revisions, and turnaround time?
It just depends, man, because people come with different budgets. They have different situations. What I love about working with recording companies that they understand it's a business. Like it's a business now. But the indie artists, I tend to do a lot of educating on the independent side. That is not just you spend a bunch of money on a mix. That's what it looks like to them. Is I don't want to just spend a bunch of money on a mix.
Mm-hmm.
Do I want to go to a fancy restaurant, eat like a full course meal, or just want to get some pizza? It's not a big investment to them. They don't understand. I won't say all of them, because some of them really do. And those are the ones I prefer to work with, the ones who understand that. So we could just focus on the music and get the rates and all that stuff out the way. You just need to understand that like it's an investment in their music. And on the indie side, I love working with artists who understand that. And there's a lot of them who do, and I really appreciate that. On the label side, they understand it. They have budgets for it set aside, and it just depends on what they need, because different artists need different things at different times. So are they coming to me for one off song? Is it an entire project? Okay, do they want this delivered in Dolby Atmos? Am I mixing full beat stems? All this stuff. A lot of different things that come into play. How fast do they need it? That changes pricing. Like it's
so a lot of different factors.
Yeah, it's different factors into the actual pricing.
Okay. And some fun questions. What record do you think was engineered exceptionally well, and why?
By me?
Just in general.
That's a good question, because for me, I see engineering as like how I see a painter, like how I see, like Bob Ross comes to mind. Like he does his paintings in an hour. Everyone knows Bob Ross.
Right.
If you don't know who he is, you should look him up. He's a very popular guy, very famous. And this guy does his paintings in an hour. But they're really good. They're really good paintings. And he always talks while he's painting. One of the things he always harps on is that you should lean into the imperfection. So I don't really look for songs like, what come to mind when you ask that question is not what's a perfectly mixed song. It's just usually songs that I like. And then I notice, okay, this song is engineered very well. I rarely listen to music because it's engineered well. Yes, I would do it because it's what I do. Just to hear, okay, what are some people doing? What are they leading into? That kind of stuff. But I need to enjoy the music. And then I was like, okay, I'm enjoying this song. Then I asked myself, why am I enjoying this song? And then I started to pick out, okay, cool. I love what they did with the reverb here. I love how the beat cuts out before the hook drop. Or I love that they didn't even do anything to the song and kept it simple. It could be anything. But a song that comes to mind is just, I don't know, just like different stuff. I don't know. I could listen to a song that's not even mixed well. There's this Yachty song called I Don't Fuck With Niggas. This shit came out before Yachty was like, it's like when he was SoundCloud days. It's like the worst mixed song ever. But I love that song, you know what I mean? Right. And most of my mixes come out super clean compared to that.
That's the beauty of artistic expression, because quality isn't always a determinant.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm not always upset that a recording company would just release music that don't even sound super polished. That would be a good, for me, beneficially and
Of course.
for my business.
Right.
Because then, but like at the same time, I get it. But it just depends on what people's goals are. If their goals is, and at what level they want to compete on. So if their goal is to compete with other artists that have music that sounds sonically great, that translates well,
Right.
that when they go do a show, it's not just all bass, you can't even hear the artists. If that's the case, a lot of artists don't need Dolby Atmos. Even though I would love them to need Dolby Atmos, because then I'll do it and make all the bread. But at the same time, who are their fans? Their fans are not like, they're not rolling around with maybe they're 13-year-olds and they don't have earpods or Sonos systems set up or whatever.
Right.
But if it comes to reach and they want their artists to go on a Dolby Atmos playlist, like here, you go to Apple Music and their artist is prominently in front of the whole joint of a playlist that says, listen to our artists in Dolby Atmos. The only way they can get on that playlist is if they have music in Dolby Atmos. And then they can branch out and you get to different audiences. So it really depends on their goals.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. How do you contribute creatively beyond just engineering?
I love that question, man, because I make my own music too, just for like fun. Like I'm not out here looking to be an artist.
Right.
I know it because that takes a lot of hard work too. But I love creating songs. So because I create songs and that's what led me to become an engineer, I understand where an artist is coming from when they're creating songs, what they're going through. I have a couple of songs out. Don't try looking for it. You may or may not find it.
Right.
Well, you got to come to me to get that. But like when I'm creating a song, that process I go through from, all right, let me find a beat. I like this beat. All right, let me set it up. Let me start rapping. Or I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it this way. I don't like that. Let me redo this verse.
Right.
Like all that thought process is exactly what an artist goes through. No matter what level they're on. They could be an artist that just for making their first song. Well, that's a little too extreme. They could be an artist that hasn't been signed yet and all just about to get signed. And they could be the biggest artists that I've worked with. They still go through the same creative process. So what I bring to the session is that understanding. So that in turn makes me very patient with artists.
Gotcha.
Feel me? And they feel that. And they feel like they have a creative space to express because it's an unspoken thing. Like it's just understood. You know what I mean? What they say? What's understood doesn't need to be said.
Spain.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like because so many artists I work with don't even know I make music.
That's true. That's
But
true.
it comes through in the vibe.
Do you believe that engineers should get credit on an album, get a point?
It depends really, bro. Because
because I'm one that believes that
you believe that?
if you work on a record, you should get a credit.
Yeah, historically, most of the time, engineers don't get points.
Most of the time.
But a lot of times, engineers do. Like a Jason Joshua, he would get a point on a record, like Despacito, like when he explained.
He's created leverage.
Yeah, like when they came to him, they didn't have like his fee
Right.
to pay for that song. He's like, all right, I like this song. I want to work on it. Just give me a point or two. And then that song became the biggest. So his point or two turned into way more than how much his fee would have been, right? But he has leverage. I think if there's leverage, then
You can determine.
like an engineer should get a pointer or be in a negotiation. But I think you might be asking from a creative standpoint, like being part of the creative process.
Not necessarily just the creative process, just in general, because again, you're directly working with the artist. You're shaping, facilitating, and adjusting the sound to help with the experience of the consumer. The artist can say it however they want to say it, but it doesn't mean it's going to sonically be pleasing to the consumer. And that part that engineers play is a very significant and very integral part in the consumer's experience as they're listening to it. So I believe that, yes, they should get credit.
You could do one of two things. You could let it dishearten you and not give your best foot forward, or you can like actually build leverage so those conversations do happen. With engineers do get credit. It doesn't happen as automatic as a producer getting his, when we say credit, we mean like points on records, or a songwriter getting their points on records. But like we could argue that A&R should get points on records because they're facilitating a lot too. They're putting this producer with
Very
this
true.
writer, and they're doing
Very
all
true.
that. They should get all that. But if an A&R has got a back catalog of, man, bro, like when I step in and I put these two producers together and I give that production to this artist and they deliver it, that song becomes a hit.
That's a fact.
That's leverage.
That's a fact.
So yes, they should get a point.
Tell me about a time where you weren't compensated adequately or timely, and what did you do about it? Did you forego being compensated for the opportunity, or did you have a particular procedure in trying to get your money back?
Yeah, I mean, with mixing and mastering, everything is on a timeline. And they wanted to mix and master yesterday, right? Compensate for that. All right, cool. You want it rush? No problem. We can do that. Now, they have their internal structure.
Right.
Not getting too much detail. They got internal structure. And if it might be slipping through, because I understand too, bro, like, I'm not the only person. So if you're not top of mind,
You're not the only vendors.
Yeah, you're not the only vendors. You could easily be shuffled around.
Right.
If you don't have leverage, if you're not like the top guy, it's just, all right, keep it cordial, continue. They understand this business. And sometimes some payments come very quickly, and other times they take longer than they should. And you don't just lose control. Where's my money? Yo, you seen Tracks NYC when he crashed out,
Yes,
bro?
you
don't walk into
went
them.
viral.
You know what I'm saying? You don't walk into them behaving like that, man. You still gotta keep it cordial because they do understand it's a business and keep going at it. And if they really aren't paying, yeah, I had to take some L's where like I work with an artist, they didn't pay, and it's because the artist got dropped. From between the time like they should be paying me for the work and the budget, like whatever and blah, blah, blah. So there's some L's, but it's not so significant.
How often does that happen?
Not often. It's like, there's some stuff that I have in purgatory that you just let it go. It's like, all right, they got dropped from the label, take the L, call it slipping, and then just like dust yourself off and move on. And then you got the other point where it's just like, all right, cool, we know you got it, right? Because the work is already done. I uphold my end, and now is on the recording company to uphold their end. You just stay cordial to that process.
Okay. And lastly, what's your long-term goal as an engineer?
For me is to...
Do you want to remain in hip-hop? Do you hope to branch off into other genres?
Yeah, of course. Branch off into other genres, everything. Because I have so many ideas about a lot of different types of music. And to just keep increasing my catalog of the level of artists that I work with. Because I've done a lot in the industry so far. I've been very fortunate to be where I am so quickly. But there's still a lot that I would love to discover as well in the industry and seeing things at different moments. Like we were talking about Travis Scott was to be like, yo, come on the road with me. I haven't been on the road with an artist yet. I've just experienced that. Yeah, I've been flown out before to like work on albums and I've got for all that. So like really be locked in and be part of that with super high level artists, man. Because years ago, my thing was to work with bigger and bigger artists. And recently, I've been very fortunate because Quavo, Skepta, like all that came in 1 month or 2 months apart from each other. Like it came very quickly. But then it would be like, okay, cool. Mid artists, not mid as in bad, but
right,
like
of course, like just where they are in their journey.
Yeah, where they're on their journey, and then big artists, and then big artists. So like it's to make them more consistently on the level where you can just keep improving the business and having a real say, man, and having that leverage, because I have a lot of ideas. Just like the best artist, the best experience is when I could express my creative side as an engineer while still keeping the sonic integrity of a piece of music, but just adding it in a way where it affects how the production is or it affects how the artist sees their body of work, that kind of stuff. But then I'm actually talking about getting into production a little bit too. Because low key, bro, when me and artists are locked in, sometimes it feels like I am producing with the artist.
I feel like a lot of audio engineers are former or on the way to being producers.
Yeah, and it's the other way around because a beat maker becomes an engineer.
But I've known most engineers I know are beat makers as well.
Yeah, I make beats too.
I know you do.
I don't like lean into it as much. But yeah, that was it. I was making my own music, went to school for engineering. And in that time, when I was engineers, I was making a lot of beats. And I just came to New York and stuck with engineering mostly.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's just like really improve, man, and see what you fit, because there's a lot of things you can do in the industry, because a lot of engineers are like unofficial A&Rs. Like all these breakdowns I'm doing and all that kind of stuff, those artists are being introduced to different audiences.
They get
But in a nutshell, just to increase the level of artists I'm working with and reach more people with my work, man, because there's a lot of people who want to do what I do it at a high level, and they get drowned with all this stuff about, oh man, you need the best plugins, you need like all these presets on this, dude. Like, yeah, but you gotta know what you're doing, and when you know what you're doing, you realize that none of that stuff don't matter. Some of the best foods you ate are very simply made foods, man. Why are you saying these luxury restaurants? I'm pretty sure people seen this. You go into a luxury restaurant and they're not giving you like a whole bunch of heavily seasoned stuff. It literally look like a raw fish on a plate.
yeah.
But that's some of the best fish you've ever tasted.
Because the quality of fish, how it's processed, how it's caught, all that matters, and it can affect the taste. Absolutely.
Exactly, bro. So imagine they're trying to use a latest seasoning that came out.
Exactly.
Just the basics, bro. Just add some salt. Just cook it with this technique from years, like centuries ago or whatever. So for me, just bringing that perspective, don't get drowned out with all the extra noise. Focus on the music, understand the fundamentals, understand the basics. Once you get that, then you'll add these things to it. Once you do that, the world is yours. Now you can expand in different ways. Just like a chef in a luxury restaurant, he can give you a fish that look raw on the plate, but doesn't mean he can't fry a fish. He can't grill a fish. You know what I mean?
True.
It doesn't mean he can't do these other things. And it's because he knows how to prepare a fish.
Yep.
That's it. But yeah, man. Just help a lot of people, man. Just help a lot of people and increase my catalog of artists.
Respect that. In closing, is there software, equipment that you would recommend to like an up-and-coming engineer?
Yeah, I mean, most people use Pro Tools because it's in most studios and you can collaborate a lot with a lot of different people. Fruity Loops FL is very popular too.
Okay.
I don't use FL personally, so I couldn't really tell you the nuances between the two. I have my workflow in Pro Tools. It works very well for me, gets the job done. I don't really like to get into recommending software, but if I had to, it would be to go to Pro Tools because if you want to be professional, you would lock in with that. And then you could add FL if you want to.
Okay.
But I don't really get into software too much because it's rarely a fan will listen to music and be like, damn, I wonder if this was recorded in FL
or in Pro
Tools, man. Because if it's not FL, bro, I'm not listening to it.
listening to it.
Turn that shit off. That shit's not heat. Like, no one cares.
If there was a genie and he granted you one wish, what's the one wish you would make in regards to your industry?
One thing I would, if I had a genie, I'd be like, just understand it, man. Understand that your path is your path. Just understanding, really. That's what it is. Because when I was at Full Sail, and it's not just Leslie Bradford, they had like other engineers that came and they spoke. And what I found is that each one of their journeys has been different. And even my journey is different from their journey. You know what I'm saying? So like, I wish just more understanding, not just for everyone else, but for me too, and continue on the path. The year just started. But if you had asked me the year before, like before it got into the New Year's, if you had asked me what do you want to do for the next New Year's, and I couldn't tell you that, oh, I want to work at Quavo, Skepta, Central C, like all these people. It just happened, right?
It's a part
I
of the
couldn't
journey.
predict that. It's only because what I've been doing up to that point made that happen.
Right.
So it's a little bit of luck, and it's just, I would feel like more understanding, because then that would inform your choices on how you want to move and see if you want to continue going down the path of doing engineering. Because it's very simple when you think about it, but it's not easy. But it's very simple path that you got to take. I could literally draw it on a fucking whiteboard. You'll see exactly what you need to do. But it's not easy at the same time. And it comes with understanding, man. So I'd wish understanding, not just for everyone else, but, you know, me as well.
Absolutely. You're a content creator. Please plug in your handles so people can follow you and subscribe to you and receive some of your tutelage, because you are someone who's very technical about your industry. You teach people from start to beginning how to be called audio engineers, how to improve their technique, how to improve the quality of their production. So please plug your handles and let people know where they can find you.
Yes, I bet. Y'all can find me on Instagram, Macro Level, MACRO LVL on Instagram, mixing with Macro on YouTube. You can find a lot of stuff there. I post a lot of videos just breaking stuff up. My Instagram, you'll find this little clips, little entertaining clips. But when you want to go deeper with me and look at my long form stuff, you find me on YouTube, mixing with Macro.
Absolutely. Please like me, please share me, and most definitely subscribe to me. And my brother Macro, peace.
Peace.